topic today is how do we care for our families and our business and ministry and do it well. And this is definitely a topic that we are very familiar with. We've had our downs with it, and we've had our ups with it, and we have partnered with God in many ways on how we steward or balance. Those are two words that are used for this. I thought we should use the word care because some of you might, the word steward or the word balance might be a negative for you. I don't know. I think God gave me the word care. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we would just love for you guys to just interact with us and let us know who you are, where you're from. Do you have a business or ministry? Feel free to put that in the comments, like what your business or ministry is or what you want to do. Don't be afraid. I feel like to tell you there's total freedom in doing that, to not be afraid to be proud of that. It's not a bad thing for you to showcase or to say, this is who I am, or this is what I love and this is what I do. So we want to tell you, be free today to just be proud of yourself and highlight that. And you are not, you're not like just, oh, I'm talking about myself. Yes, you are. You're telling us who you are. So we say freedom for that. And when I was sitting down talking with God, I just felt like many of you probably feel like us and have been through many of the things that we've been through. They just might be slightly different. Yeah. But if you are like me or like them, have you ever felt like with your business or ministry, have you ever said the words or even just felt this? I don't want to sacrifice my family for this. Yeah. Some of you might have gone through situations where you were led to sacrifice your family for your ministry or your business, and that's how you were told. That's what you need to do. Sometimes we're told, you can hear the words like, go all in now because for the rest of your life, you'll have the rest of your life to spend doing these things. Like, hustle, hustle, hustle now, and spend every single waking moment building your business or ministry, and then later you will, when everybody else is not doing what they love to do, you'll be doing what you love to do. I don't know if you've ever heard anything like that. Yes, that is common language that's used. Yep. And there's a better way. Yeah. I love, that's Britt's like stinging life motto. There is a better way, and there truly is a better way. Have you ever felt like, I've lost so much time with my family doing all these things and I want to put them first? If you might, have felt like that before. I have definitely felt like that. Maybe you've quit your business or ministry because you experienced not being able to balance the time with your family. So you, instead of knowing how to do all of them, you quit the business or ministry because you felt like you were sacrificing time with your family. Yeah. And when we say family, it could be, this isn't just a mom who has kids. I think we go to that. My family, a mom with kids. Yeah. Mom, you're married, you have kids, or you're a single mom and you have kids. When I think of the word family, this is for people who you might just be married and you don't have kids, or even like your extended family. What about like your parents or your siblings, things like that. So wherever you find yourself in family, we're going to talk about how we can do them all and do them all well, and we can do what God's called us to do. And then the other two are, actually the last one is, how do I do it all? Have you ever asked yourself that? So those are just some things I was feeling that we might have in common, that we felt those things before. And have you guys ever felt any of those? Yes.
All of the above.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so I'm going to jump in with the first question. our main question is, what have you experienced with having a family and a business or ministry and wanting to take care of them all well? Where have you not done it well, and what has changed for you? So wherever you want to jump in with that, we're going to start with Tracy.
Okay, yeah. When my kids were little, I worked for a ministry, and I honestly, it was my first time that was my actual job, that ministry was my job. I was being paid for what I did. And I was clueless on how to just live in that space. You know, I didn't have anyone leading me in that, so I made a lot of mistakes. And one of the mistakes I made was just giving all my time to change the world. You know,
Yes.
and I think that's important to know what your personality is, what you kind of leap for, because I will leap for those things. If someone's talking about
Let's go
changing
change the world. Yes.
I'm like,
Okay.
I'm all in,
Yes.
you know? And so I've had to learn that that's a pull for me, and so I've learned through time. I'll get to that in a minute, but what happened to me without having the understanding of what does it look like to actually care for my family and do this thing that God called me to do. I didn't have that, and so I just put myself fully into this with traveling, and I was gone a lot, and my family did suffer. And how I knew this is God's goodness, and I want you guys to hear this, because God is good. He's always good. Even when your situation doesn't look good, He is good. And what happened was they asked me to take a leave of absence, and I was devastated. I thought the world was going to end, because, you know, I had put all myself into this, and now it's not there. Who am I now? What am I going to do? Kind of thing. And so I was forced into looking, you know, at my family who was crumbling and left behind. And my youngest daughter, she was 3 or 4 at the time. I was putting her down for story time, and she said, "No, I want Daddy." And she's my girl, okay? She's a mama's girl. And that was that was my sign. I was like, oh my gosh, God was showing me a picture of what I needed to fix. He wasn't mad or anything. He was very gentle. He was a very gentle father, but showing me, you have to take care of this. And so it took a long time. It literally took almost a month for her to trust me again. And that's when I realized I can't do that. Like, there has to be some way. But I learned that from the mistake, and I don't regret the mistake, because it allowed me to grow. But, you know, all that to say, the goodness of God, the circumstances landed to where He allowed me that time, you know, to take for my family. And so I just grew in that. I grew in understanding it's a whole lot easier to pause and learn how to partner with God in taking care of your family while you're doing, you know, while you're fulfilling dreams that God's put on you.
What did you feel that there was the pressure to just go in ministry and not necessarily stop or consider, you know, like, were you not taught the other, like, pay attention over here? What was the thing that kind of caused it?
Here's my cautionary tale on that. Yes. And this is no bad on them, but I wish they would have been leaders that would have modeled that something for me and led me into, I feel like when we're leaders, we're not just leading the individual, we're leading that person's family. I really feel that. Like, when I lead people, I consider their family, not just the one in front of me.
When you lead them in making decisions, also, you're considering the whole family, not just what's best for the situation.
Because they've said yes to working with me in ministry, so therefore I feel like their family has said yes. Like, even though they're not the ones serving, and even in business, it's like weighing that. And so looking back now, no, they didn't lead me. They were running. They modeled for me what it looked like
how you're to run
in ministry, which was go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And family was just secondary.
Okay. And what changed for you? Like you said that God just like really
He put me in
showed you,
timeout.
but then
Okay, let me put you over here.
Yeah.
And sit in this and feel the weight of the importance of family and knowing that.
And you just started growing in that area. Okay.
I grew on my own. I didn't have anyone lead me, but I had Holy Spirit to lead me. So if you have someone that leads you well like that, oh my gosh, you're light years ahead.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to come back to you because I have, some other things like where you are now and what you feel. We're going to come back to that. So what about you, Britt? What have you experienced with doing it way the opposite and not really being able to steward everything well?
Yeah, I think when I felt the call to leave my full-time corporate job and start my own business, I was in a mode where I was taking a bunch of courses, I was listening to a bunch of podcasts, I was doing all this stuff, and I'm like, this all sounds amazing. I need to do it all. Check the world. Yes, and so I loaded up, and I knew that I felt confirmation from God to leave my corporate job, and so I felt like instead of continuing to partner with him, I just said, yes, thank you for that, I'm going. And I was absorbing all this stuff, and I had a huge client load, and I was doing all this, listening to all this information, and it was burnout. It was like information overload is what I call it. Like there's too much stuff, and listening to all these really successful, successful people talk about their successful businesses and how they got there. It was that hustle. Hustle. It was the hustle mentality of you're doing it now so you can live free. You can live this great, open, balanced, not work a lot later on. I'm like, okay, that's what I got to do. And so I know so many people who feel that, who are in that, who have felt that, and it's not sustainable. Living proof it's not sustainable. It feels good for a little while. You're like, things are going great, and then shortly, a few months in, you're like, this.
You can't keep up.
You can't keep up.
There'll always be the hustle.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. There's always that, and little did I know of how exciting it was. And it was so exciting to start my own business and have a full client load, and I was so proud of that, and I still am. But I started to realize when I would sit back for a second, the empty. It wasn't necessarily even empty. It was just I was dry. I was tired. I didn't have energy to invest in my husband. I didn't have energy to invest in my family, my sisters who are my best friends. I didn't have energy to invest in my, quality time with my family and checking in on relationships. I just didn't make time for that anymore, and my relationships with my friends and family suffered because it's all information overload. I was so busy every waking moment, either working or listening to some podcast or some working on a course and a module on a course. And again, those are all good things. They're good things. But I slowly, as I began to burn out, I realized that I had left God behind once He gave me the go to start my business. I was like, all right, thanks, see ya. It's like when you're 16, you grab the keys and you just head out.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So how did that affect? Because you're married, you don't have kids, but you have your husband and all. So you just recognized that it started to you didn't even have.
I had
for any of that.
I felt connection, and I don't think it was a major one moment you had that, oh my gosh, what's happening? I'm in timeout. But it was a gradual deterioration, and I'm like, why do I feel so short with my husband, irritated at the stupidest things? Just you could tell. I'm like, where is this coming from? This is not who I want to be, and this is not who I want my husband to see. This part of me, and I'm trying to get to the root of it, and instead of blaming him of why isn't he more supportive? It's focus shift. Wait a second. So it was just realizing that I had the lack of connection. I think was big for me.
Wow. Okay, so have any of you guys been in those places, felt like that? relate. Mine's a little different, but I can, like, these are things that we go through. These are real. There's women everywhere that are thinking, you know, have these questions, that there's new people that are getting married and having kids, and just like, and you're really, you know, it's being modeled just to go. And I feel like when y'all were talking, what we can do in rest, when we actually rest, it's like, it's more than multiplied. Yeah. It's like when you actually take that time and rest, and not work till 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever on this thing, all, you know, like this season that you're just like, I'm going. When you put like your family and like, there's like this balance and priorities, and you actually schedule it, it just is, what you get back is so much more. And I think sometimes it's the fear of, if I don't do all these things, I'm not gonna obtain or finish what God's called me to do too, because we can even think, well, God's called me to do this. So if you guys, you know, if you can relate to that, if you have situations where either this might be happening right now, you might find yourself and you're like, that's me, I need help. You know, you can absolutely feel free to, you know, put in the comments what you've been through, what you've experienced, and you can encourage each other on this thread. This is a safe place to encourage each other. So you might be on there, not only hearing what we're saying, but others might be commenting, and you get to be that voice of encouragement to them and say, I've been there, it's okay, you're not a failure, one. So you gotta let that go, like their guilt, failure. I remember, I'll tell you what kind of like happened to me, but I remember, you know, being a mom, I had 2 sons, and I remember like being up at night, like with anxiety, feeling like I've let them down. They're now, let's say 12 and, you know, 15, and I've lost all these years with them. God will give it back. Like, you can just start now. My kids are, I think 19 and 23, 20 and 23 now. And this time is so beautiful with them, and God's given it back. But we had a clothing store, and I have always, like, before, just ran with business. And if you were doing anything with business with me, we were going, and I made everyone miserable. And with our clothing store, I would just be like, we're working till 3 o'clock, we're working until we get it done. And I remember being at the store till like 6 a.m. I remember before we even opened the store, being in, just even in bed, just like going, getting every last drop of however long I could stay awake to finish this project. And our kids lived in the store. We were there from open to close. You know, they were in school, and we would, you know, pick them up from school. They would come, and they would live in the back room of the store, and, you know, do their homework and eat dinner, and somewhere that was in the plaza, they would get dinner, and we would have it there. And then we would go home. We would get home at like 10:30 at night, sometimes 11. They'd go to bed and do it all over again and go to school, and then our weekends were the same thing. And it ran our life. And there was a lot of like guilt on that, but I felt like that's what we have to do. That's what an entrepreneur does. You just get it done, and this is the entrepreneur life. And I do believe that there is a better way to do it.
Absolutely.
I don't believe that God will call you to your family to hurt for that. Right. You know, my kids are okay now, but when I look back, the things I wanted to do with them, the time I wanted to spend with them, I didn't get to. So that's my experience, and really mine was like a gradual. It wasn't like this bam moment. It was like this gradual, like my kids got older, and I went, what? Where did the time go? Like, you know, oh my gosh, you know, like, where did this go? And I felt like I had lost all this time with my kids. You know, and I can either hold guilt for that, or I can let it go. And I can say, I'm going to do different, you know, and now we're going to be having our first grandbaby, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be different. Like, in my time with my kids now, I choose them over, you know, most things now, and I'll talk more about that. But that's my experience, and so if you feel like that, I have to tell you, like, you gotta let, like, if you have any guilt, like, that has to end, like, now. God does not guilt you, and you get to let that go and say, I will move forward in how I can set boundaries and how I can do that in my life. So, Tracy, what do you do now? Like, what does your life look like now in business and ministry? Because now you're in both. You have two things.
Yeah.
And what does that look like for how you make your decisions on what you choose to do, and what God's shown you? Like, what is He telling you about being able to have a family, business, and ministry?
I have notes because I forget. So I'm gonna use my notes. But I have 3 kids and a husband. Been married 30 years, and so one's already out of the house, and I still have 2 at home. One's about ready to turn 18. One's 19, about ready to turn 20. But they're still in my care.
Yeah.
So I have to consider those things just to let you know, fill you in on where I'm at. I run several ministries. I have my own project I'm working on. I'm working with O Free Bird Fly. So I have a lot of things going on. And if I were to sit down and actually think about how in the world is this actually happening, I have an answer for you. It's called supernatural time. And so when I prayed about this topic, that is like literally the first thing that popped in my mind was to understand that God is outside of time. Like, God does not live within time, and He isn't limited or strapped down by time.
Yeah.
You know, and He so that right there bakes my noodle when I actually like sit down and think about what? Wait a minute, what?
Yeah,
He's outside of time?
Yeah.
And I have a scripture, so but I'm His daughter, and you know, He shows me that when I give Him what He breathes on, He extends my time. When I give Him what He's breathing on, as opposed to, you know, just my own self-imposed will, like you were talking about, or self-imposed will, we run out of time, right?
Yeah.
But when we give Him the time of things that He's breathed on, He actually gives time. And it's the scripture where He talks about one day is like 1,000, and 1,000 is like one day. So that's just, you know, that's His word. So one day can seem like 1,000 days, or 1,000 days can seem like one day. He's outside of time. And so what I have learned is that I am the master of time that God has given me. And so when I intentionally cultivate a culture of honor over my time, I see benefits from that. And so I used to live in response to time as opposed to cultivating. And I just didn't know, honestly. So if you never knew, I'm telling you now.
Yes.
Right?
Somebody,
I'm telling you now. You can cultivate.
Somebody shares it with you, and you're like,
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
So I feel like in that I've realized I don't have to sacrifice. Sacrifice my business for family. Or sacrifice my family for, you know, vice versa. And so, yeah, when I'm on God's time, I get things done the way that I'm supposed to get it done. And He, especially when I travel now, one thing I've noticed is that, and when I weigh my yeses of traveling, He actually covers my family while I'm gone. There's a grace, you know, grace empowers. Grace gives us power that we wouldn't normally have. So grace empowers my family to be fully whole while I'm gone,
Yeah.
and I'm not missed, or I'm not going to drop something. I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, or I don't make mistakes, but I just feel like weighing my traveling.
And he also leads you when you shouldn't
Yes.
go, to when you should not say yes to traveling to something, right? That your kids need you in that moment. I remember you told me, I can't go on this one because
I was grounded for like a year.
Yeah,
I love to travel.
My kids really need me in this season.
Yeah.
I remember
So
that.
he fills my family with peace and provision, and I don't have to worry about leaving them. And so, guys, it's honestly supernatural and it's practical.
Yeah.
It's the both, and I don't want you to think that it's or. Well, I just have to be practical. It's both.
It's both.
It's supernatural and it's practical.
Yes.
And so,
yes.
I want to teach you a word that I've learned, and I love it. I used to live in Italy, and I love
What is
Italian phrases. It's dolce far niente, and it's the delight of doing nothing. So something I've learned to do it's really the delight in doing nothing. The Italians do it well, and they are able to live full lives, fully in business, fully in family. They close for siesta at noon. They shut their business down, and they
do it.
Listen, if they can shut their business, I'm talking storefront, they shut their business down and they eat with their family,
Come on.
or hang out for a couple hours. Like, it's just a thing that they do. It's their culture, and so I think we can take some cues from that, and be a little Italian, dolce far niente. So
that's
so good. I feel like when you do that, when you take that rest, that you can take that time with your family. And I love that you said that God will protect your family when you're traveling, or even if when you have there are some businesses that, and I know that there are women on here that have some businesses that require, there's this go time in it. And I get that. I get that there's projects that you're I literally have to do this thing. And I think the important thing is that you're moving with God on that, because He does breathe on your yes, and what He said yes to, you've said yes to, and He breathes on it. And there is that you get to, with your family, say, okay, is this necessary, and is this good for my family right now, God? Is this okay to take this on right now? And if it is, then go for it, and God will empower you, empower your family, take care of their emotions, take care of all the things. God can be mother, father, friend, all of the things that we need. And so I know that there is that. Let's say you're writing a book. I know that there's this go time when you're writing, and there's this time you have to go sit alone, and maybe even go off for a weekend, and you have to go away and write. I know that, and God will lead you in your travel, in your projects, and stuff like that. So what would you, I think we'll come back to the tips and practical.
I got some good stuff. Stay tuned.
Britt, what does it look like for you now with your husband and just even your family? I know you go home a lot when you can go and spend that time with them, but what does it look like in your life to do it? All these things.
When I made the switch of saying yes to whatever He has, it's radically changed how I operate, and so I really learned how to live from a place of rest. And that doesn't mean rest is such a, I guess it's such a word that can be used in so many different ways. So it doesn't mean just sitting on the couch. For me, always. I get to operate from a place of looking, partnering with God with and in everything is that's my foundation. I do not want to do anything without Him. It's just more fun. There's more time. There's everything I needed more when I choose to partner with Him. And when I wasn't making the space for that, things were being sacrificed and feeling the consequences of that and the pressure. So when I said yes to partnering with Him in everything, from the moment I wake up, whether it's sitting in quiet time or writing out my grocery list or my task list for the day, I'm like, I will write it all down, and I want God's best for me for today, not worrying about next season or tomorrow. And it goes along with what you're saying about like the supernatural time.
Yeah.
I felt a grace, and like that God would literally highlight things of like, okay, this, and this are what you can focus on right now. And I'm like, okay, that's great. And I would do those things, and I realized I'd have more time to start to be able to prepare dinner for like something. I don't like cooking. And I would,
the three of us don't like cooking. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's very fun.
And I would find this, like, I would be really wrapping up the things that I felt were for today, and I felt like, sure, I still had stuff on my list, but I almost felt like God literally would guide me. This is your list for tomorrow.
Wow.
Okay, like it wasn't.
So
I wasn't driven by this, like, look at this huge list in front of me. I gotta get it all done. It's like, here's these little nuggets, and then I fell in love, and I've shared this with a few people, and I love talking about it. I've fallen in love with serving my husband again.
Oh.
Or I can say again. I should even say again for the first time. Like to be able to I have a half hour before he gets home. Like let me close out could I use that half hour for working more and getting more done on my list? Yes. But I felt so much more like I can just have the house picked up, things starting to do and then I'm just available and ready. Like, okay, I'm proud of what I got done, and then I just felt like the time was given back to me. Of like, now I get to sort of
give you more time.
Okay. She is going to pray. She's going to pray over that right now. About falling in love with
serving
your
husband.
husband. Either for the first time or again.
So Father, I love you, and I thank you so much for just pouring out your love on me and through me, so I can fall in love with serving my husband again. And I just release that right now over Kimberly and Tracy and Jenna and anybody who's watching or is going to watch the replay. I just release a fresh love, a fresh falling in love with serving your spouse and serving your family. That there's a grace, there's patience there, there's joy and excitement, and like, how can I serve him? How can I serve them today? And so I just release that over you right now in the name of Jesus. Amen.
That's good.
It's wild. The first time it came out of my mouth, I was like, what is this? Yeah. I fell in love with serving my husband, and it's shifted everything.
Because you partnered with God.
I partnered with God.
With resting in the things He's given you to do.
Yes.
So tell us so that they know what is possible and stuff like that. Give us kind of like just an overview of what are the projects you have right now. Like what do you got going on?
Yeah. So I have my own business. I do creative business consulting for female entrepreneurs. I also am part of a direct sales company that sells safer skincare and beauty products. I also go to a ministry school 2 nights a week. I serve with Tracy. We lead a leadership community collective on Monday nights. I teach at a gym 4 days a week. I have a lot of things to do, and it's everyone always says, "Oh, you must be so busy," and I'm like, "No, I don't think I'm busy." Like it's amazing what happens.
Supernatural.
All of these things I felt and I have a husband and relationships I want to keep up, and so it's possible, and I do not feel stressed.
Yeah.
I honest to goodness, I do not. And as soon as I start to feel that pull, then I know I gotta dial in.
Okay, and does he? So. Do you know when there's something you might feel like a tension in something that he's like, that needs to go?
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's almost immediate. Like it's almost like as soon as I do something, I'll feel the grace kind of be like.
And you might have the grace. It might be great, and there's things that he might be having you do, like because I think that too we can have all she has all these things, right? But God, these are God-breathed yeses.
I don't want them if they don't belong.
And Tracy the same. And so there's different seasons where God, that might be everything, and then God, you'll feel it. You'll feel that grace is leaving that, and it's okay to ask God, am I supposed to let this go? So I feel like to tell you that you might be like, well, I don't feel like that. Well, partner with God in the rest and your time, the supernatural time and your rest, and you're partnering with God with these things that you have, and you're okay to ask him, is there anything I'm to let go of?
That's good.
Or are all these things a yes, but I need to partner with you and rest in supernatural time with it? Because they might all be a yes, but there's a needing to partner with him in the rest and all that. But there also might be something that maybe you're doing that the season has ended, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. You're not somewhere forever all the time. Some things are forever things, and some things are not, and that's okay.
Yeah.
There's
a difference between striving and working.
Yeah.
And when I feel that pull to strive to accomplish something, I know I'm off.
Yeah. That's like a
so that helps me.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll help you.
No, that's really good.
And I think too, when you start to feel the tension and pressure, then it's at least for me, when you start to feel like whether it's stress, overwhelm, not enough time, you can really say, like you said, okay, Lord, I felt these things. It's just like taking a deep breath. Like
that's good.
You're just taking a deep breath and saying, where is the grace? And so I've had seasons where, and I'm sure you both have too, like you're still saying yes to these things, but you'll notice like your foot's off the gas a little bit in one area. So it doesn't mean I've let it go, but it's like, okay, I can pull back responsibility, or I don't need to invest in this much time in this project as I maybe want to, but
it's good.
There's something else that can be just, it's like,
it's like you have two
two
kettles.
Just change. Yeah, that's good.
I love
you have
that.
5 kettles. She has 5
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't even. Where am I? Okay, so for me, what was the question? What did we just leave? What question did we just leave? Oh, how do we do it now? Like, what does that look like now? Okay. So for me, what that looks like is I have O Free Bird Fly, and we have some big projects that are coming up. So there's like these 3 big things that require time and attention and care. And I lead a young adult ministry at our church. So there's that, and you lead the different functions of it, and then I teach at the ministry school, and so I'm responsible, for that. It's 2 nights a week, and then so I have these 3, I would say, 2 ministries and a business ministry, and and it in this season he's shown me my family, and this, like, my family comes first big time, and he's taught me how to really set my calendar and boundaries, and I'm not as available to do a lot of things like with friends and hang out, and that's hard for me because there's relationships I want to build, but I have 2 gonna be daughter-in-laws, I have 2 sons, I have a grandbaby on the way, I have my husband, we're about to be empty nesters, and like there's just this new season coming, and my priority is them and these 3 ministries and business that he has me stewarding and really cultivating, and so I have, what it looks like for me is just having to say no, and knowing where, like, my yeses are very they're important to me, and I am really slow with my yeses, and I'm talking about when I even like having coffee with a friend, I have to go, what if I say yes to this, what am I saying no to over here, and what is affected by that, and so my friends understand that, and I'm also, it's important that you have those close relationships that you do have to cultivate, and so I can't really expand further than where I am, and it's not feeling guilty for that. I had to go, am I about pleasing what man is going, I want this, I want that, or am I saying, God, what do you say is good for me right now?
That's good.
I've had to say no to great things.
Yeah.
I've had to say no to great things. There's a lot of like gatherings that I don't go to that I would love to be at. There's so many things that go on at our church that I'm like, I want to go to them all, and I want to support them all, and I want to do all that, but I really have to be intentional to say, I need to have stay and do this. And like I watched a movie last weekend with my kids and my husband. We watched the Toy Story, like a bunch of adults watching Toy Story, but that was intentional time with them, and I was like, I choose them. I choose them, and that's what God's telling me to do. And so
that's good.
I don't schedule things the other nights that God, that's what I've been doing is I'm away from the home 3 nights a week. And I don't really, unless I have to, I do not go anywhere the other nights of the week. I stay home with my husband because God's like the care needs to be there right now. So I believe it's really paying attention to partnering with God and going, what does it look like for me? Yours is going to look mine looks different than Tracy right now, and Britt and Jenna and all of you. Mine looks totally different, and yours looks different. What is God speaking for you? And that, I think that goes back to when you're watching a podcast, when you're listening to a podcast, or you're watching a message, or you're taking a course, whatever it is that you're doing, you can take things from there, but nobody can tell you how you're supposed to act and schedule your time in that season. Ladies in direct sales, nobody can schedule that. Nobody can tell you what is good for you and what your schedule should look like in that season. I know that that's rough, but only you and God, you have to hear from God what He's saying. I want, yes, that's a yes on that. What is His yes on things? And just setting boundaries and being intentional with my calendar is what I've had to do. And it's good. And just, I feel like even let go, if you have any guilt about but I don't get to spend time with, this friend's wanting me to do all these play dates, and because you might have kids and all of that, we can feel like guilty, like I need to do that with them, or they're going to, not know that I love them. That's not how you, that's not a relationship. I truly believe that if somebody, you guys are friends of friends, whoever is going to hear this, start with you and have this understanding and being intentional with your friends that if your friends cannot hang out with you in a season, it does not mean they don't love you. I understand Tracy's season. She understands my season, and we love each other, and we understand our seasons, and so we don't hold something over and be like, she hasn't had coffee with me in 4 weeks.
Yeah, we don't hang out as much as we used to.
Yeah,
so and it doesn't change. It doesn't
change your love for that person. So I just want to say freedom to you to say yes and cultivate your family and your relationships the way God is saying is right for you in this season. And if you're a friend, which I know you have friends, extend that same thing for them. Understand their season and be okay that they're not ignoring you. They're not a bad friend. Stop using, if you're using the words out there that, if you're passively posting things that say things about friends of, this is a bad friend, or they're not here for me, or that is guilt. That is guilt-driven relationship, and that's not okay. It's not okay. So I say that we are different. We are daughters of God, and that we are like Him, just like our Father. And that is not how we should. We should never guilt each other, because it just isn't okay. So I say we should not do that, but I also say let guilt go. You got to partner with God and His yes. So that's what I do now. That's different, and it works for me. And it doesn't mean I don't like go, oh man, you know, like I need to move something over here on my calendar. You can feel it, and
absolutely.
yeah. So that's what I do. So we have we're coming to the end.
Yeah.
Would you give some of like practical things that they can do like now?
Yeah, I totally agree with the guilt thing real quick.
Yeah.
I want to be in at this event on the 25th.
Okay.
That's out of town, but I also, it's my daughter's senior night at school. This is a prime example. I fully want to be there for my daughter, but you know what? I want to be at this event too.
Yeah.
I'm like sad that I can't go,
Yeah.
but it's okay that I'm both.
Yeah.
It's okay that I'm both. So no, I don't have guilt over it. I'm like,
No.
I want to be here and I want to be here.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, I just want to say it. But
Yeah, that's good.
my practical, these are some action steps you can take. These are ones that I take for myself. I only dream with God on all my projects and ministries.
Yeah.
Only. I only dream with God on those. I weigh my yes with my family. We do it together,
Yeah, that's so
you know.
good.
And I honor my time. I take time, like I was saying before, to cultivate how I'm going to honor my time in my calendar. And these last two are really good. And I've had to really give my own feedback to myself of like, how are you doing that? Are you doing okay with that? But I'm the only one that can take responsibility over my time. You're the only one that can take responsibility over your time. No one else can do that for you. Again, I used to live reactively, and that's not really honoring my time, and that's not honoring the people around me. So only you can do that. The other huge thing is you're the only one that can be responsible for your beliefs.
Yeah.
So what do I believe about my time?
Yeah.
What do I believe about weighing things with God? All those things. Do I believe that I can do these things? Is it possible to do all the things that God called me to? That's a belief system. And so Peter walked on water with belief is what I want to say.
Yeah.
So if God calls me to it, I'm going to be able to do it. And so my encouragement for you is to be the water walking believer.
Yeah.
Be the water walking believer that when Jesus, says to come, you can come. You can do that. Like, this actually happened. It's not an allegory. This is a fact, a truth that happened, that Peter, a human flesh person, walked on freaking water. Like, oh my gosh. Like, what?
Yeah.
So, like, that's my goal.
Okay, that's good. Those are really good. I love the doing, setting your calendar with your family or whatever you're talking about. I love that.
So you're saying about weighing your yes with your family.
Yeah.
I think that either me needs to get here or someone else needs to hear. What does that look like to weigh your yes with your family? Besides being like, can I go do that? Like, what do you think about this? Like, how would you encourage somebody to do that?
Well, the first thing I do is, my husband and I look at what we have going on as a family.
Yeah.
And we go, does this work with our family, with what's going on? Because this is my daughter's senior year in high school, and so we are having to say no to things. So that would just be one example, is looking at what's going on within your family, and going, where am I needed as a mom or a wife or wherever you're at with your family.
Really
and
good.
then we just talk together. It's not this big thing. We don't have like these big, huge sessions. It's super simple. We literally have a conversation and we come to an agreement. And so if he feels peace about it and I feel peace about it, then we're good to go. And honestly, my husband's super supportive.
I know.
He lets me go save the world.
Yes,
so.
he does. I love it. He does.
He's like, go!
She's like, travel. I'm like, where are we going next?
Yeah. So
Love it.
I'm fortunate that way.
That's good.
But yeah, it's super just practical. We literally just look at what we have going on and go, does this work?
Yeah.
Will this hurt anything?
Yeah.
Will this,
And how does
This
your
is what
daughter,
I'm saying,
is this important to her that is this an important thing that we're there for her, or is this something that she's like, I don't care about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like super.
Yeah.
Every Friday night she has a game. She's in the marching band. She does color guard, and she doesn't verbally tell us,
But you can
"I
feel
want
it.
you there." But I am telling you, when she sees us go up into the stands to watch her perform, her face lights up. Like she's like, she wants us there, and she would never tell me, oh, it's okay, you don't have to come. Like, I know that it's super important for us to be at every game, every Friday night. I can't do anything on Friday nights until football season's over.
Yeah.
So
You've chosen, you've looked
Yeah.
at it and gone, there might be this great
I
thing,
know.
but if I don't have to, if it's not an absolute, I know, if it's not an absolute, I can't.
Yeah, I
because
can't.
my daughter, her heart, her
yeah.
heart and her coming alive needs us.
Yes, I mean,
So,
come on.
that's
and she's
how
almost
you
18
do it.
and she
Yeah.
responds like that. I'm like,
I love it.
no way, Jose.
I
Friday
love it.
off limits.
Okay, so some of my practicals are partnering with, like, dreaming with God on your things. I don't do anything without. It's the yes has come from dreaming with Him, and and I know that this is a yes. And then setting boundaries for yourself, being okay to set those boundaries, be intentional with your time. I have 4 months on the wall right over here, and I have to see it in front of my face. You can do it on your phone. I need it in front of my face when I walk in the room. And my my husband can walk in this room at any time and go up there and know where I am or what I have going on, and I love that. But I see
on the phone.
Yeah. But I see it, and it actually, when I see it in front of my face, I'll see a whole week where I am away from the house, and I'm like, whoa, okay.
That's good.
I go over to it, and I'm like, this person, I need to meet with this person, and I really need to cultivate this relationship with them. God will even show you that this person needs you right now, and I will go to my calendar and I'll say, what week is not filled with me being gone or having meetings and all this stuff, and I will put it there. So that's a practical for me that I think is very important, that you actually know what I think. Before I did that, I knew in here, I knew, oh, I have this on this night, and all that, but be intentional to actually see it before your face, whether digitally or writing it down and seeing, what do I really have going on? Because once you see it and like you're like, oh, this is a lot, or God, is there something I need to rearrange? And it'll help you. So that's one of the things I do.
That's so good.
I say no to good things, and I threw away feeling bad for saying no, and so that's a practical. Throw that in the garbage where it goes. And stop saying it. Oh, this is my practical to you. This is my encouragement. I had to stop saying, I feel bad for saying no. Like, even in conversation. Like, I am not going to tell Tracy, like, I cannot partner with that language. Oh, but I feel bad. No more. I can't say that because I'm going to continue to feel bad if I keep saying it. So break up with that language, that you feel bad.
That's
Guilt of past gotta go. You can't move forward if you're holding on to guilt of what you didn't do right. I had to let go of that, or I cannot tend to them and steward my relationship with them now. Say you're sorry and move on, and move forward, partnering with God. So that's my encouragement to you guys.
So have an awesome rest of your week.
Yes.